prerequisite programs, or letting HACCP work. HACCP and good manufacturing practice. Prerequisite programs are not HACCP. However, they are an essential part of your food safety plan. Prerequisite programs work with your HACCP plan. They are not the same. They are your written programs that keep you in compliance with good manufacturing practices. And good manufacturing practices are required. So, in essence, prerequisite programs are required. Now, a HACCP plan is unique to each facility, but a prerequisite program is generic and applies to most food manufacturers. So the prerequisite programs are how you comply with Title 21, Chapter 1, Part 117, Subpart B, entitled Current Good Manufacturing Practice. Subpart B, Current Good Manufacturing Practice, has a number of categories with guidelines that you as a food manufacturer have to follow. Those categories are personnel, plant and grounds, sanitary operations, sanitary facilities and controls, equipment and utensils, processes and controls, warehousing and distribution, holding and distribution of human food byproducts for use as animal food, and defect action levels. So, prerequisite programs. Many times they are simply called our GMPs or the GMPs. Some facilities will call them SOPs, as in Standard Operating Practices. The Codex Alimentarius of the World Health Organization calls them prerequisite programs because the Codex is worldwide and most countries don't have good manufacturing practice written in their Food and Drug Administration because they don't have any of that. When these are effective, they greatly minimize the risk of food adulteration. Now, HACCP by itself cannot work in an unsanitary facility. Prerequisite programs ensure a sanitary facility. That is why they both work together, although they are separate. So some basics about prerequisite programs. They must be written. All affected employees must be trained in those programs. The training must be documented. In other words, it must be written. There must be a written training program that outlines what you covered with your employees. The training must be effective and performed by a qualified individual. And there must be verification that the program is being followed. In other words, you must have check sheets, you must have written audits, you must have records. Following is a list of the common prerequisite programs that I have seen and utilized over the years. Supplier verification, storage and distribution, personnel practices, sanitation, integrated pest control, chemical control, sanitary design and maintenance, water quality, allergen control, glass, brittle plastics and ceramics, customer complaints, traceability, recall. That's a pretty comprehensive list of all the various prerequisite programs that you're going to need, some, all, but certainly not none. Supplier verification. This is used primarily for ingredients and food contact materials. To write a good supplier verification program, you should have a list of approved suppliers. You should have written standards that must be met by those suppliers. Third-party audits, you take samples, they submit samples, certificate of analysis, etc. All affected incoming materials should be checked against the list. All affected materials should be inspected for possible adulteration and conformance to specification. Black lights many times are used if you are receiving ingredients that potentially could be adulterated with rodents. The lot or the batch code must be recorded. The date received must be recorded. A bill of lading is best for this, and that should also be recorded and saved. In this program, everything should be written. Personnel practices is another very common prerequisite program. Many times it's written in your employee handbook. It should address personal hygiene. It should address suitable, clean clothing, uniforms, laundry. Hand washing should be covered. Hair covering should be addressed. Jewelry, adornments, communicable diseases, footwear. Those are the common elements of almost everyone's personnel practices prerequisite program. Now, all of these examples will apply to someone, but not all of them will apply to everyone. So which of these programs will you have to worry about? That's up to you to determine. Always remember, your aim is to prevent adulteration of your product. This is an example of a chemical control program, how it is written and the format used.